thank you so much for inviting us. Thank you, Oscar, for being here. So we're going to take a kind of a look back at Glovo. And I was actually checking my WhatsApp and my email on the train, and I realized that we met end of 2015, so 8 years ago. And the company at that time, you were in 4 cities. Your GMV was 150K per month, and you had 9,000 orders per month. So very small company, very small team. I think you were probably 20, 30 people at the time. And today, if I have the latest figures, so you're in 26 countries, 1,500 cities, 170,000 active partners, 200,000 active couriers, 22 million active users, and more than 10 billion GMV since 2021. So obviously, this is an amazing story and a phenomenal growth. But we both know that it's been a bumpy ride. So my first question would be your biggest learnings from the good times and also the bad times.
So learnings from the good times. I think the good times is the best thing that has happened to me in my life. So I remember the good times when you manage to fundraise, when you have product market fit, when you're hiring well and you're building a good culture. I think that to me was maximum happiness. So one advice when I meet founders is just enjoy it. No, when they do find this product market fit, you're working 20 hours a day, but it's really highest levels of happiness. A lot more than the stage where we are now, no? Which is a lot more corporate and big. And learnings from the bad times, I would just say to keep pushing. No, I mean, you remember a lot of moments when we were at the really edge of dying multiple times. We managed to survive because we had received 120 no's from venture capitals, and we just kept pushing and kept searching for more. And at the end, you find some luck in the journey.
And looking back, would you have done something differently? Apart from, I guess, strategic decisions, opening up countries or closing regions, but something even more meaningful than that?
I think the only thing I would have done differently is control growth, growing costs, because there's so much inertia that pushes you to grow and hire and go bigger. Everybody wants to hire. Everybody wants to manage bigger teams. Everybody wants to spend more. So I think if I started again something, I would be a lot more aware of the downsides of being big in headcount. And also, I would have not announced or barely announced any fundraising.
Okay.
Because the day you announce that you have a lot of money in the bank, it's like a waterfall effect of micro decisions where everybody stops being lean. From the receptionist to your CFO to your marketing manager, everybody pushes a bit less or looks a bit less for the cheapest option, right? So I think I would have not announced the rounds.
Okay. Because I guess you guys had to announce the rounds because it was a signaling.
Yeah, you have the signaling.
No, we always thought that way, but now it doesn't seem that important. But at the time, it did seem like a
yeah, I mean, there's some benefits. No, you can hire better. No, there's some good parts of it, but I think the downsides are huge.
Okay, that's interesting. So how would you define success, and what are you most proud of? Because success means so many different things for different people, right? And
so I was telling you, I was now this morning. I was in Georgia, in Tbilisi, and for me, success is going to Tbilisi and seeing yellow backpacks, talking to customers, talking to couriers, talking to restaurants, and seeing that it works, no? And you're creating value, and people are using you. For me, success is also the legacy that we leave behind in terms of talent.
Okay.
So seeing all the talent that has grown at Glovo that are now building companies or are now CMOs of other startups, or that makes us really proud. And for me, success is also something you know very well, which is closing the loop. No, so it's hard to grow, and it's hard to have product market fit and be profitable, but then it's even harder to sell the company, right? And really return all that money that you raise to investors and to employees, and so I think the three things, no? The three legacies that we leave behind: the business, the talent, and the investors.
Okay, so that's what you're most proud of, right? These three things as well.
Yeah.
And so we were talking before, because I think that one of the keys to your success is that you've always taken your responsibilities very seriously, extremely seriously. I think with your employees, with your investors, with the Globers, the restaurants. So you've taken, your job very seriously, but you haven't taken yourself that seriously. And my thinking has always been that you always thought, okay, the company goes first, and if at some point I have to step back or delegate or do something differently, I would do it, because I take what I do very seriously, but not myself, which I think is kind of connected to the ego that we all have. And obviously, as a founder and as an entrepreneur, you do have to have an ego. Otherwise, you wouldn't be leading a whole organization, and people wouldn't follow you. I think you have to have a certain amount of ego. But that difference between doing your job seriously and taking yourself seriously, do you think that that's something that has been a key for your decision-making success? I do, obviously, because I know you very well, so I do. But have you thought about this, or do you think other entrepreneurs have that mindset, or?
I think humility is a superpower of a founder. I think I was born humble, or I learned to be humble at home from my parents. But I've learned that building a company is a superpower, because people will follow you more if you're humble.
Okay.
So I think, luckily, it was something that was already part of my DNA. I've been obsessed with hiring humble people, staying mega lean. And I've learned during this almost 10 years that it's a superpower for founders. And yeah, because the best talent will follow you more if you're humble, I think.
I agree. And I think when I look at Glovo, I think that it hasn't changed because you haven't changed. And I guess, that's something to be proud of. You evolve, obviously, and you learn, but you kind of stay true to yourself. So finally, there's so many questions that I have here, but I'm going to be conscious of time. So I was also looking at my WhatsApp, and I saw that we're just discussing this. I had 13 WhatsApp groups with you, 13, all connected to investors, all connected to the board, governance. It's been it's been interesting, to say the least. So what are your learnings? What is your advice to other founders? Because obviously companies that grow and scale, they do need to raise a lot of money. Investors are not always aligned, and it's complex, right? And it becomes a full-time job. And for you, it's been intense, and it's been a bit of a full-time job. So looking back, since you don't have to deal with that anymore, what are your thoughts on investor management?
I mean, you know very well that I couldn't really choose investors much, no? I think I was super lucky to find you very early. And I think the reason I liked Seaya a lot was because you understood very well the balance between pushing and helping. No? And I think most investors don't understand this balance. No, they become a bit annoying, and they're too much on top of the founder. No, and I remember very well that you were all the time like, no news, no ask. No? Like when we were on the edge of dying and fundraising, you were like, Oscar, I don't call you because I know that if there's no news, if you don't tell me, there's no news. So now that were starting to invest with Yellow, I remember this, how you managed the Glovo and I guess all the other startups very well, because you have to be very helpful, but on a reactive way. And if you can choose investors, I would choose investors with this mentality.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's tough to find the balance, right? Yeah, but I guess too much pushing and creating too much tension is counterproductive, maybe. And I guess, the last question before we jump into the multiplier effect that we have to cover and the social impact. So Glovo was sold to Delivery Hero. That was a huge success. Selling a company is very difficult, right? So starting a company is difficult, growing a company is difficult, but selling a company is even more difficult. If that hadn't happened, you would have a very complex cap table with investors in very different structures, a very complex waterfall. It's even difficult to understand who has what after many years of different funding rounds. And I find that in our portfolio and in other funds' portfolio, if we look at companies that have scaled and have raised a lot of money, we are struggling to understand what to do going forward, because we have to be practical, but we also have to look for safeguard our LPs' interests.
Yeah.
We need the founders to be motivated and find some upside going forward. And I feel that we're all kind of dragging our feet managing this process, because this will happen when you are 6 months from selling a company, right? So what would be your advice to a founder that has a scale-up already, not founders that are starting their companies, founders that have companies with a relevant size, with a complex cap table, and they're thinking about a sales process maybe a couple of years from now, which would be your case if we hadn't sold to Delivery Hero?
Yeah. So difficult question, because I have not been there.
Yeah.
And as everything in Glovo, you know very well that all the corporate issues for me were new, and it was a new battle, a new situation for me that we just managed. If we had not sold, we would be in a deep problem, both competition-wise, funding-wise, and corporate-wise, because we would have investors that would be in Glovo for 8 years that really needed to get out.
Yeah.
We would have new investors that were looking for their 2, 3, 5x, when actually our valuation maybe right now would be 0.5x or 0.25x. So I don't know. Maybe you. I think you know more about this, Bea. Because I think you're.
Well, I have to deal with it, no? You don't.
Just deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess my advice would be to just plan in advance.
Plan in advance.
Probably 2 years in advance, if you can, and just have those difficult conversations. We're trying to do that, and I think U.S. investors are very practical. We are less practical, and we have to learn to be practical. Okay, great. So the multiplier effect, which is something that wasn't even a concept. When we started Seaya back in 2013, this wasn't even a concept because it didn't happen. We didn't have companies that had scaled with employees spinning off businesses. But now, looking at Glovo, I was just looking at your figures. You have 130 employees that have left Glovo to start companies. We're talking about 53 companies, which is an amazing number. You're actually top 10 in Europe. And when I was looking at the list, companies like Zalando, Delivery Hero, they were founded, much earlier than Glovo. So it's quite impressive. They've raised more than 200 million euros from 274 investors, creating 2,000 jobs. So I think it's quite specific to Glovo in Spain. The second company with more founder spin-offs is Cabify, actually. So there has to be something that motivates them, especially it's the culture, it's your values. Do you think there's a specific inspiration coming from your culture? And you've always been so proud of these employees that started their own business, because I always remember talking to you and you were never pissed off, you were never upset, you were always so proud. Is that also? Yeah.
I think it's our biggest legacy, no? So all of these people that leave Glovo to build companies. I think inspiration and role modeling is a huge factor in entrepreneurship. Um, when when we were starting Glovo 2015, there were very, very few inspirations in Spain, and that clearly impacted our ambition. We gained ambition during the path, but at the beginning our ambition was tiny.
Yeah.
We were thinking about a 10-employee company only operate. So I think yeah, we have inspired a lot of young talent. We promote it. So we do things like we have a mentorship program for ex-employees that build companies. We bring ex-employees that are building companies to give talks to our employees, fostering this inspiration. We even set up investment vehicles where employees can invest, can become a mini business angel and invest in ex-employees' startup. So we are promoting it. We are super proud. Some people tell us that we're crazy because we're pushing people out of the company. What I believe is if there's somebody that wants to be a founder, he or she will leave at some point. So we prefer to foster it.
Yeah. And when you hire, do you look for that entrepreneurial gene even?
No, I wouldn't say so. We do look for very ambitious, very hardworking people. No, I think they find this inspiration during their time at Glovo.
Okay, and looking at this 130 employees, I guess they're from very different countries. Do you see differences culturally from Spanish employees or Polish or from Africa even?
So back to the humility, I see a lot of founders taking this humility as a value when they build companies.
Okay.
And I'm really proud of it because I think they understand how important it is when you work at Glovo. And they're also applying it in their companies.
Okay. And culturally, are there differences or not?
Country to country, no. I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. Actually, when I was thinking about this question, I thought maybe not because it's just, the culture is quite strong. Spending just a couple of minutes on Endeavor because obviously they've supported all of you guys so much, us as investors and the whole ecosystem. I think it's also very interesting how they do this analysis of, Glovo or Cabify or Job and all these companies that have scaled and have created this multiplier effect. What's your experience with Endeavor? Why did you become an Endeavor founder? I know I pushed you a little bit at the beginning because you didn't know what it was, but now that...
Yeah, so look, I was, unluckily, we joined Endeavor a bit too late in our journey.
Yeah.
We joined, you remember, we joined when Glovo was quite large, I'm sure, and I think we joined to give back.
Yeah.
And to connect with more entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
meet them, help them. But seeing how they work, I would have loved to join Endeavor at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they do open doors, they connect you with great entrepreneurs or great C-levels, and I think it's key. I think these ecosystems are exponential, no? And they are a good catalyst to make this exponential curve happen.
Yeah. But
they're a bit more present in Madrid.
Yeah,
I think we need to push so
that's
that Endeavor grows in Barcelona.
Yeah.
But they're great, yeah.
But it's true, you probably joined a bit too late.
Yeah.
So you're already quite big. So we'll finish off with this social impact, right? Because we want to talk about your story and the learnings, the multiplier effect, obviously, and the social impact that you had in you since day one. And I remember that, some people have it, some people don't, and it's not good or bad. It's just something that interests you and motivates you, and you've always been worried about the impact of your company and in ordinary times, in extraordinary times. I remember the war in Ukraine and how you guys helped out so much in COVID. That was obviously very extraordinary. How do you think about this? How have you set up the team? How do you measure results? Because there's just so much going on social impact and greenwashing, and there's so many things going on that it's just difficult to understand how to do this properly. And are you happy with the results so far? And what is the plan going forward?
So I think it's been, first of all, it's one of our values. So it's something that values are so present in Glovo that it's a daily reminder that we have to care for, especially for couriers and for the partners that work with us. We have given a lot of importance because Sasha is our co-founder and he leads government relations and he lives impact, and that's all he does. So we do give a lot of importance to social impact. Am I happy with it? I think overall, yes. Of course, our platform has some evident. We generate emissions, right? So we generate emissions through moving things, through selling food that comes with certain packaging. So there's certain things that, as all businesses, have negative impacts. So we obsess a lot about minimizing those impacts, and then we believe our platform generates a lot of positive impacts. So giving a lot of opportunities to couriers, digitizing. So we have 200,000 businesses selling through Glovo. Most of them are small businesses. They're family businesses running their shop, their restaurant. And for them, Glovo is like their door to the online world. It's the first time they start selling online. So there's a lot of positive things that we want to maximize. Okay. Now, am I happy? Yeah, overall, we're happy. I think the reality also is that in our space, it's so competitive that my conclusion after so many years is that the biggest impact is generated when a good regulation comes in. So going back to packaging, it's so hard for a company like us to go radical on green packaging or to, for example, electrify all your fleet, because we operate with super thin margins, right? We make less than €1 per order.
Yeah.
And if one of these actions will kill your margin, you're out of the game. So we're doing things, but sometimes I believe that the best thing that can happen for a delivery industry with better packaging is a regulation that pushes everyone to operate with new rules. Because then you don't have the competition dilemma, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, just some reflections. Yeah.
Okay. So to finish off, we have 3 minutes. Well, we could talk about the future. You're obviously super involved in Glovo, now part of Delivery Hero, but you have a new fund, Yellow, which is a great success. I think you raised it last year.
Yeah.
It was the most difficult year in fundraising, I think for the past 23 years, literally. So, I mean, you have to be very proud. Why do you think you could raise it?
Why do you think I raised?
What was it was a first-time fund.
Yeah. Look, I think
bad market. What was the value proposition? What do you think investors? And I'm an investor in your fund, so I have my answer. But
I think the thesis is good because we invest. It's a 30 million fund. We invest the small tickets, so it's between 300K and 500K. We operate so we focus in Paris, Barcelona, Madrid, but we're also looking at deals in UK, in Germany. And I think our value proposition is cool because for the size of the ticket that we invest, we add a lot of value to the founder, right? Yeah. Because on one side, we have a full-time team of 3 people, Adam, that comes with a lot of venture capital experience. And I think he helps founders navigate the venture capital world, which is really complex. Like me as a first-time founder, I would have loved to have a teacher to tell me, hey, this is how VCs work. Yeah. I didn't. And then on the other side, we have Sasha and I that I think help a lot founders on the more from the experience. We, same as you, we open doors to Spain, to Italy, which are huge markets. Like somebody building a SaaS business in Berlin, one day they will want to expand to Spain and Italy. Like it's a huge GDP market. So I think our value proposition is good. Then of course, the brand of Glovo has helped. So we're very conscious of this. This is why fundraising happened so fast, and now we need to deliver.
Great.
And invest well.
So I think we have 1 minute. Last question. So you've been on the other side, on the investor side. I don't know, a small percentage of your time, right? Because you're
Yeah.
focusing, but you can see how it goes. You can see if it's something that you would like to do going forward. No, maybe not next year, but 10 years from now, because you've looked at both sides, right? Is it something you thought about, or how do you see things from the other side?
Things can change. Right now, I really enjoy building
Okay.
product, building teams. It's, meeting entrepreneurs is so stimulating.
Yeah.
And we learn so much from what the team shares in yellow. And it's really cool. But I think my mind wants to build things. Maybe this changes and in some time from now. But yeah, I think that the challenges we have at Glovo are so exciting that I'm dedicating most of my time to Glovo for now.
Okay. Bueno, I think we're right on time. So thank you so much, Oscar, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.